Hey y'all, Michelle Johnson with Have Color Will Travel, and welcome back to my studio. It is October, my favorite month of the year, and not for the reasons you might suspect. I'm not a super Halloween goer. I like the candy, I like the coziness, not so much for the scary, and I really don't like dressing up. But I do love the season change, that transition from the death heat of our Texas summer into what almost looks like fall. It's still 90 degrees, but our humidity is nice, and it's less than 90%. And we're beginning to have that crispness in the morning, and the leaves are turning colors. I also like October because it's that art month of Inktober. I don't participate in Inktober, or I've done it once, and I will share I think it's a playlist even. I will share a playlist down in the description of when I one time tried to do Inktober. But I enjoy watching people play with ink and talking about ink because I love to draw in ink. Absolutely love it. And recently I've had a whole collection of friends, both online and offline, asking me about ink pens and ink drawing and what materials I use and what supplies are my favorite and so on and so forth. And these were simple questions they thought they were asking me. And then I texted them or I spoke at length, like a novel of all of the information that's stuck inside my head about black ink. And it made me think like, well, you know, I kind of know something about ink. I've been inking now since 2015, and I've collected, oh my God, 2015 to 2024, that's almost 10 years. Wow. Okay, so that's why I have a lot of information stuck in my head about black ink, the pens that use black ink, ways of using black ink, which black ink pens are better for which situations and which people. So today, that's what we're going to be talking about. It's an all inky black video. In my head, I wanted to call it, it's the Great Ink Video, Charlie Brown, but that sounded even more nerdy than I thought I should be doing. So let's get all black and inky and learn about the best drawing pens, or all the drawing pens really, because I think I might have them all. Before we begin, I thought I might show you this collection so you can really get an idea of what I mean by I'm a little bit obsessed with inking and black lines and all of the tools that make them. When I talk about ink, I'm not just talking about a standard micron, which is a really common one. I am also talking about using brush pens that come like this and have ink cartridges that you can replace. And then also, I've learned how to hack the system, fill with your own ink, and I'll talk about that as well. Fountain pens. This one's my favorite. We'll talk about it as well, where you have a reservoir that a converter. This also comes with cartridges, but it has a converter, and you fill it with ink. Dip pens that you, like the word says, dip into an ink pot and then draw or write, which means you also have to have a collection of different types of ink, and we'll talk about those as well. When I said this is an enormous ink black video, I wasn't joking. And then also technical pens, which while they look or have a similar appearance to a standard drawing pen, are also very different. And I have a whole video all about the Rotrain Isograph, and I will link that in the description below for those of you that like to dive a little deeper into, oops, of course there's cat hair, into the Rotrain Isograph and the difference and how fun, just amazingly fun this pen is. There we go. So here's what we have, but let's move this all aside. Okay, so the first type of pen I wanted to talk about is one that I feel we don't talk about nearly enough, and so that's why I'm beginning with it. It's a pen that's good for a heavy-handed drawer, and what I mean by heavy-handed, meaning that they really push down onto the nib of that pen. Not all pens are created to be used well with people who have a heavy hand. A heavy-handed person is probably going to have a difficult time using a dip pen the way that they want to, because this is a delicate nib that responds to pressure. Likewise, a heavy-handed person will have challenges working with the finer nibs of something like a technical pen, which you can see that nib is really, really tiny and fragile. It's a little stainless steel needle. You press on it hard, it will bend. So what I have found, because I have heavy-handed people in my life, is that pens like these, so these are fiber tip, and not all fiber tips, will I say, are probably excellent for heavy-handed folks. Let me pull them out here. The Staedtler pigment liner, and I'll explain this blue tape in a second, and the Micron, the Pigment Micron by Sakura. These two brands of pen, they are fiber tip pen. They are not reusable, but that doesn't mean that when they're getting scratchy, you should throw them away. I will show you that in a second. I think I found them all. These two brands of pens respond really well to all kinds of drawing styles, whether that's the drawing style of a child, which tends to be a little heavier too at times. They also work well with heavy-handed adults. What I love about the Staedtler, they come in this handy-dandy case, and I know for a fact, this is the second thing I want to talk about today. So number one, heavy-handed folks, I really do recommend these two drawing pens. There are others, and we're going to talk about these as well. Many people like to look at the Copic multiliner. Oops, that's not the right one. That's the brush pen that comes with this set. Let me get my Copic. That's a good example. I found the Copic multiliner, while fun to use, and I really do like the barrel, and I'll explain that why in a second. It has a very fragile tip, and you see, I'm gonna take these out for you so you can see the differences and why I would recommend, put them all together, why I recommend these two on the left for heavy-handed folks. You'll see, even though, I don't think I pulled all the same nib size up, there's a thickness here and just a sturdiness of the barrel. This design here with the elongation up in the middle, I have found, and I found out the hard way, that these Copics are not as sturdy for folks who have a heavy hand. So if you know that you're a heavy-handed drawer and you're looking forward to trying to do a little more ink life, I recommend the Staedtler, what do they call these, pigment liners, or the Sakura pigment, or Pigma Micron. And I always get them in sets because you never really know what size you're going to like. Sometimes a 01 in a different line can be a little bit fatter, a little bit thinner. They all tend to have a kind of a loose and fast measurement style. So I like to get sets like this one here, this travel set that I had, starts at an 0.05 and goes all the way to an 08. If you can find sets that have at least a 0.1, a 0.5, and then maybe a 0.8, it sounds crazy, like why would I need a 0.8, Michelle? Because sometimes you want a larger space of black ink on your drawing, and you will be happy that you have a larger nib. Let me find the 0.8 here. You will be happy to have a larger nib, my friend, if you are inking in a drawing with a large space. Here's an 08. And you have a nib like this. Let me get that right there for you. Versus, oh, I only wanted to have the fine tip. I like really fine lines. And then you want to draw something and you go, oh, that's the nib I'm going to be filling in. Even such a space as big as my thumbnail. That would take forever. So it is nice to have a fat tip in your collection. The next thing I want to talk about are pens that are good for travel. And when I say travel, I don't just mean like in the car. And I have a set I'm going to show you that I take in the car, because in Texas cars get hot. So not all materials are designed to get warm. But not all materials are designed to fly. I have read online that Pigma Microns do not do well with cabin pressure on airplanes. I've never tested that theory because I don't want to find out. So while the Staedtler pigment liner is not my favorite pen, and I'm going to tell you why in a second, which will be the reason why this blue tape exists. These are not my favorite pen by any stretch of the imagination. They are, though, one of my more trusted pens. These love to fly. They love to go up in temperature. They love to go up in altitude. And they come in this case that I find incredibly helpful whenever I'm oh, there's a bigger one. Incredibly helpful when I'm on a plane or I'm at a park bench or something like that. So these go places with me, even though they're not my favorite. And why they're not my favorites is this. Let me pull out a couple of pens for you. Let's see. Oh, this one's one of my favorites, so I'm going to bring it out. Here we go. This is just a collection. You'll notice, I guess I need to take off the caps. This is going to be a very interesting video of caps on, caps off, caps on, caps off. Boom. I'm going to put this one aside. That one's going to take a twist. These barrels. When you're buying a pen, you want to examine the barrel if at all possible. Notice the width of this barrel right here. And where you hold a pen, I hold a pen right here. So when I'm holding it on the Derwent, it's a little bit thicker. Or on the Pitt pen, it's a little bit thicker. I really like holding the Copic. It's definitely thicker, and it's plastic. It's a nice plastic. This is thinner, and I find that my hands, whoosh, you can see it right there, they slip and slide. This is a very slick plastic. The Copic, it's a little more, especially the Derwent. The Derwent has grip. There's something about the plastic that they put on this barrel where you can even hear, I think. My fingers stick. I like that feeling. I like the note. Whoop, there you go. My hands are always really, really dry. And I put lotion on before I started this video so that I wouldn't have pens flying around. Whoops, I'm going to smash it with the top. That's why the Staedtler, if I'm drawing at home and I have all the choice in the world, I will not be choosing this pen. It's not the most comfortable pen for me to use. When it was my only pen, I would have to, and you'll see here, wrap it in painter's tape. And when I did that, and even more, this is kind of, I haven't used these for inking in a long time. That would allow me a little bit of grip so it wouldn't fly out of my hand. But of course, with painter's tape, it doesn't close. So when I'm flying, I have the painter's tape taped around the barrel so that I can use these traveling. That is why I keep Staedtler pigment liners in my collection, and I haven't passed these on to someone else. These fly really, really well. They are also perfectly waterproof. And I realize now that I'm showing you all these pens, you might want to see how some of the lines look. So that's upside down. For example, this is a recent pen drawing, which was done with a very fine tipped one, probably a 1 or a 2 on a plane. This is all turbulence that I was experiencing. This is how I get through turbulence, y'all. I draw, and then I add a little bit of color on it after the plane started to calm down a little bit. These are the pens that I take with me in the air. I haven't had this sketchbook for a long time, but so for example, these circles, I drew these on a plane using my Staedtler pigment liner. Recently, my son and I have been exploring art again together, and we needed a bunch of pens, and he likes to use really fine tips, and so do I, and I didn't know if he had a heavy hand because he's much older now, and I was like, I don't know if I trust you, Sam, with my favorite pens. So we were using these, and they were kind of scratchy, and I thought that was really, really brilliant. So I'm not sure you can see this here. Let me see if I zoom in for you. Oops, knock over my lamps while I do that. There's a scratchiness to the line. You don't want to throw away your old, let me turn to a different drawing too. This one also we did together, Samuel and I. You don't want to throw away your old pigment liners because the scratchier lines are really, they're great for making texture and strange marks and what have you. Let me take this back out for you so you can, I did it again. I'm going to knock that light over. Let's see, I think on this one I really got scratchy. Yeah, right around there. Let me see if I zoom in. You can see, whoop, I third time I hit the lamp. There you go. That scratchy texture, that comes from a pigment pen like the Staedtler fine liner or the Sakura pigment liner Micron. These ones are drying out. I've had them for a good long while, but I'm not going to let go of them because they create this, oops, you can't see that. There we go. They create this interesting texture when you're creating illustrations and having a fun time drawing. And that, my friend, is hard to duplicate with a fresh, juicy pen. Let's talk about the ones that make the finest lines. Everyone likes a pen that makes a really, really fine line. My favorites for that are the Rotring Isograph. And this is a technical pen. So inside is a barrel, or inside the barrel, oh, I'm almost ready to fill this up with ink, is a reservoir that you fill with ink that it comes with. It comes in sets. I think you can buy these independently, one at a time. And then if I ever did break the needle on this, I could replace it. Thankfully, I've had these a number of years and my fine touch hand has not had a problem with that. I love the lines that I can get with this. Let me show you an example. This is something I did last week. So, not these. I'm going to show you what those were made by those, but these fine lines here, probably going to zoom you in. This was an activity that I enjoyed on a recent sketchbook revival. And if you don't know what that is, I will link that down below. Anyway, all these fine lines, these were created by the Rotring Isograph. And as you can tell, it is also a waterproof ink. And I love a waterproof ink. Now, if you are not in the market, because this seems like too much pen, and I understand that, because we have to learn to fill it, to take good care of it. These need to stay horizontal. Occasionally they can get clogged, you have to clean them, although I haven't had that problem. Fingers crossed, knock on. Here's some wood right here. Why did I make knocking sound? Anyway, I haven't had any problem with that, but I take really good care of these because they are some of my favorite tools. If that's not your jam, what I have found to be the finest line, stand by. Ages ago, I decided, this is the nerd in me, to compare all of the different line widths of the markers that I had, or the black liners that I had. So from Staedtler, Derwent, Sakura, Faber-Castell, Unipen, Tombow, and Copic, I wanted to compare who has the finest, thinnest line. Because as you can see, we've got similar numbering systems. But as you look at a 0.1 here, let me get you zoomed in so you can really see what I mean. So as you have a 0.1 in Staedtler, and does your eye see what I see? That 0.1 in Staedtler is not as thin as the 0.1 in the Derwent graphite liner. And so I wanted to, you know, look around and test who has the thinnest lines. I'm going to skip all the drama and I will tell you this. Copic, let me see, is that in line for you? I know you have to see this very close. Copic multi-liners have the thinnest and finest lines. Look at their 0.03. It is so fine, y'all. So fine. And I will have to admit, let me zoom you back out. It is finer than my precious 0.2 Rotring, which I'm going to draw for you right now if I can stop my pen avalanche from happening. And now I'm drawing on a really textured surface, which is not ideal. Maybe I should take a break. Okay, I'm back. Let's put this under here for a moment, if we can. There we go. Oh, I'm making an enormous mess. Shocker. Every time I make a YouTube video, I make a mess. So I've had many people ask me for a comparison of Staedtler, all of them, a comparison with that in the pigment liner, or excuse me, the Rotring Isograph. And these do not have a cap that sits on the back. That doesn't bother me. It still has a really nice weight, so I do just fine with that. I'm gonna need to shake it. I haven't drawn with it recently, that's, you have to use gravity, and you saw when I took that lid off, there we go. When I took the lid off, I am just about ready to need to fill this with ink again. But let's see, maybe I should zoom you in for this. Here we go. Now if I can make sure that I'm actually drawing the right spot. That's the ticket. My Rotring Isograph 0.2. Ooh, my hands are sweaty, it's hot. So you can see, make sure, yes, we're still in the right spot. It is, I should probably write that down. This is the Rotring. Because there are people where what they want, it's a point right there, 0.2. Oh, and that's an isograph. Someday I may want to refer back to this for myself. There are some folks, that is the worst handwriting I've ever had. There are some folks that really want to get that fine line. So here is the 0.03 on Copic. Let me see, is that still going to be on film for you? Yes, it is. So the 0.03 is definitely thinner, but as we're, and I didn't think I'd be nervous for this video. It's all about ink, but I am a little bit, my hand's kind of shaky. That's really close, the 0.05 and the 0.2. Yeah, really close there. So I tried to say to people, I think of this 02 as being really similar to most brand lines 01s. Here's the Tombow Mono drawing pen, which I also have. If I have this on a list, these are pens I have. And there's my Rotring Isograph. Definitely, I think this one's thinner than the one. Let's do the Uni pen. I really like Uni pen fine liners. What do I like about them? Their shape. So this is a Uni pen. It's nice and round. It's got a decent barrel. These like graduations down, and I can stick my hand in there, and it helps me to hold onto it. So I do like the Uni pen quite a lot, which is probably why I haven't tried to travel with it, because I don't want it to break. Let's see about the Uni pen. I have a feeling that this, oh, I need to refill this. This happens occasionally. You just go like that. There we go. Yep, I would say it's even more. Yeah, I should have refilled this before we started. Sorry about that. That's interesting. My voice gets quiet when I draw. I would say that it is in between the point. This is a 0.05. This is a 0.1. So it's very, very fine, very narrow. Let's go to what most people have, which is Staedtler's. It's a very common drawing pen. I'm gonna go right here so you can see. Yeah, this is thinner to my eye. The 0.2 in a Rotring is thinner than the 0.1, which is interesting. Which is also why I've enjoyed inking with it when I do my coloring books. Let's see here. This is the graphic. I also really like the Derwent graphic liner or line maker. I just call them liners. They've got too many fancy names for me to keep pulling into place. I'm gonna go in between their 0.1 and 0.2 since this is a 0.2 Rotring. Let me try that one more time. Because I think this paper, this is not my drawing paper I would typically ink a coloring book on. This is a standard paper. Yeah, this is a very fine line that's kind of in between their 0.05 and their 0.1, which is ironic because this is a 0.2. I guess that's not ironic, it's just weird. So there we go. Let's do the Sakura. Also a really common one for people to be using. And I'm gonna go between their 0.1 and their 0.2. When you fill up a Rotring, this filling it up, for at least for me, and I'm not always inking, remember I do a lot of painting. I fill it up once every 4 to 6 weeks. And it, oh my gosh, it doesn't take very much ink at all. Gosh, my lines are so junky, y'all. It's a little bit better. Yeah, this is definitely, the 2 is definitely wider than the Rotring 2. And it's holding up nicely from that comparison. This is what I've always thought, that the my my Rotrings were a very fine tip. So Faber-Castell, or Faber-Castell, I'm not sure how one pronounces that, has a wonky system for measurement. They want to go X, S, S, F, and M, and that always confuses me. Deep within the literature, you can find out these are the mathematical measurements, and I find that to be more useful because I don't ever remember, like, how small is small? And does small and fine, like, I would think fine would be better than small, but it's not. It's bigger. So here we go. Come on. Yes, I talk to my pens. Yeah, the 0.3, this is definitely smaller. Let's go back to the point. Come on. About the same. So at least I think so, to my eye, and knowing that this paper definitely is more soaky-uppy. Definitely comparable to the Faber-Castell. So the finest line, to my way of looking at things, meaning I'm right here, is the Rotring Isograph, my favorite drawing pen for when I'm drawing in the studio. This is not a pen you can take drawing out and about because, as you saw, you need gravity to be able to get that ink going from the barrel of the cartridge down to the steel nib. So if you're drawing at an angle, like saying sitting on a plane or at a park bench, you're gonna have a more difficult time with that ink flow. The next finest line would be in the Faber-Castell, well, not the SB. It's in here somewhere in my mess, but the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens make an incredibly fine line, and I do like them. They're a really lightweight pen. What I don't like about them, again, is the same as with the Staedtler. This is a really thin and slick barrel, so I tend to need to have something to help me with that. With my Faber-Castells, when I'm using these, I have kind of jerry-rigged my own system. I have cut off, I shouldn't have done this with the brush pen, I don't want to push it backward. Whoop. I've cut off a portion of one of those pencil grips that you use for an Apple Pencil, and I have put it on here, and that makes it much more comfortable for me to draw with. Now, the problem with that, you have to take it off before you can place that pen cap back on. So we've talked about pens for heavy-handed folks, for travel, and the pens that make super, super fine lines. And we've compared my favorite fine lining pen, the Rotring, to all of the different pens that I have here, which, as you saw, is probably way too many, and which ones make the best fine lines. Now I want to talk about pens like when you just want to have fun. You want to just play with black ink, no holes barred. You don't care if you get ink on your fingers, which obviously I do all the time. You don't care if you're making thin lines, fat lines, whatever. My favorites, and I do have a few, but these I'm gonna go with my very favorites in the beginning, are the Pentel brush pen. I love the line that I can create with Pentel brush pens. It's this weird kind of illustrative line. It looks like I'm painting with a brush. I think, yep, this one did too. It goes all over the place, and as you can tell, I have watercolored these illustrations. It is the ink that comes in the Pentel brush pen is very, very permanent. It's waterproof. I love these pens for, and I have multiples. I love them for a particular couple of reasons. One, this tip is just too much fun, like I said. Whoops. Of course we have cat hair on it. Did I get the cat hair off? Yes, I did. But you can also, I can't remember how now. I think, oh, because I have to hold it. You can replace the barrel and put in different colored ink. So replace the barrel, replace the cartridge. It comes with cartridges, and you'll see it even says, I think if you can see that on there, it says Pentel FP10. I use these to the nubbins, and then I wash them out, and with a syringe, or actually I don't use a syringe, I guess that's not what it's called, with a pipette, I use bottled ink. This is a Higgins blue ink, and I replace it. And I looked and researched which inks would still be good with this pen, so that I wouldn't be destroying the nib. And you'll see that pen has blue. It came with black, Then I used all the black. Came with this color. There you go. So that's super fun. I think buying more than one of these and then slowly replacing the ink so that when you go drawing, I have two different colors to play with. It's one of my favorites. Another favorite that I have, it's a new favorite, I've only just begun using it, is the Sailor Foodie Tip. And I have two of those as well. And I'll explain why in a second. A Foodie Tip pen looks like this. It's got a bit of a bend to the nib. Let me see how, there you go, there you can see it. It's not broken, it's designed that way. And this is a fountain pen. So I shouldn't put that back on. It has, very similar to the brush pen. Oh, I'm almost ready for a new cartridge to get filled. This comes with black ink, and you can either refill that with something, that's the ink cartridges it comes with, or you can do what I did with this one, is I bought the converter kit, and this particular kit allows me to use my own ink, and I'm choosing to use Noodler's black ink in this pen because it's incredibly waterproof. So I use this with drawings that I'm then going to add wet media color to. An example of some line work that I've done in that pen, and like I said, it's relatively new to me. I was trying to, this particular drawing I did with just, no, I didn't use this one. I used this one. Notice I have a sticker on here. This pen's ink is water soluble. So when I use this and I add water to it, I can make it into like a grayscale drawing. The ink does not hold firm. This one has the Noodler's permanent ink in it, the waterproof ink. So I put a sticker of Pete the Cat on it saying nailed it, because once I use this, it's nailed. And I haven't had a chance to add water to this yet, but notice the lines are all very, very different. That's all done with one pen, because that line allows you to make a variety, or that nib allows you to make a variety of marks on the paper. I think you've got time in the video for me to do that. Let's see. I haven't used these in a while, so oh, yeah, here we go. So you can have something that's a really fine tip. That's very fine. Or whoosh, which is, I mean, it's just the coolest thing, y'all. Look at that. At least I hope I'm in the right spot. Very fine. And notice how I'm holding it. I'm holding it basically, not quite parallel to the page. And then here. And so you can get all kinds of lines with these pens. And I find that to be really, really fun. I try to take this pen with me when I'm traveling in the car. I haven't tried it on a plane because I'm afraid of an ink explosion. Which, when you're traveling, that's not your favorite experience, or it's not mine. So I'll write back to you on that one. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen there. Those two sets of pens are really, really fun to play with, about and around or at home. One that I love playing with at home, haven't gotten brave to take this out and about in the world because it just seems like a disaster waiting to happen, is the dip pen. So you have your own ink. This is Blick's Black Cat, but I can use any of these inks as well. Bombay's Black Indie ink, Black Magic. This is not waterproof, so that makes it fun to add water to. All of these ink, I could do it with my Noodlers as well. You dip your pen and you just draw. This was super fun to have my dip pen when you're doing blind contours and just kind of, and then semi-blind contours, and you just get these really awesome lines. But you will see that, whoops, that lamp, if I need to move it. I had a little mistake, but I just added it into my drawing. Yeah. Having an ink pot open while you're drawing, and you're like me, I mean, I've almost knocked this lamp over 4 times now. So it was a little bit catastrophic. And in fact, that's the catastrophe right there. But I survived. And you just add it into your sketchbook and, you know, happy accident. Or accident. Anyway, moving right along. These are pens for having a lot of fun, a lot of free play, a lot of exploration, just a lot of, I couldn't say enough about these. I just love them all. Next, let's talk about things that you can keep in the car. I take this bag everywhere I go. It sticks in my purse and comes with a collection of supplies, which is why I know the pens that are in here do just fine with heat. So for starters, I've got the Pentel Stylo. This pen is like none other. Look at that nib. Can I get that close? Look how groovy that is. That is totally different. It looks space agey, doesn't it? This pen has been in the back of my car since I bought it. It is super duper fun. It is not for everyone. Why is it not for everyone? This is not waterproof ink. This ink is designed to be activated by water, like it is in this sketch. So that after I drew this, I then took a wet brush and I just went with it and just, you know, played with where I thought I might like a gray shadow here or some, just adding something. And that's what that pen is for. This is another Pentel pocket brush pen, like this one. Yes, I have 3. I keep it in my car and it has done just fine. I love to make sketches with this one. And then also I have, this is one of my earliest drawing pens. Before I started creating coloring books and fine art, I would draw with Profice V5 rolling pens. These are by Pilot. They are not technically a drawing pen. These are a writing pen. I have drawn many illustrations with that pen before I started expanding. As you can see in this journal, like that's with the Pentel brush pen. This is my travel journal, like when I'm going to the hospital for my son's treatments and things like that. So I'm using, where's a good example? I guess I should go forward. So this was a Pentel brush pen. No, this is a good example. This is the Sailor Foodie Tip. So I used the Foodie Tip that had the water-soluble ink when I was sitting at a winery watching these 2 women in Astros colors. They matched. It was like perfect. Just really quickly, I drew this in. I think I was trying to finish the whole drawing in 15 minutes. And then you add a little water and you get the black marks. This is what a brush pen. So this was in a waiting room of a doctor's office. This is what the brush pen will do. So I have these pens. Obviously, I'm always waiting. This means I don't ever finish. That's a pencil. You know about that. I don't ever finish those drawings. But these 3 pens, and this, I also draw with this on occasion, just a regular, I think that's made by Bic pen. Work just great. And in Texas, our cars can get up to like, I don't know, 1 billion degrees. So you're probably wondering, with all of these pens to choose from, how do I, 1, pick, and 2, do I even have a favorite? I don't have a favorite, I have 3. So my very favorite, when it comes to making fine lines, is the Rotring. I have not yet discovered a pen that can help me achieve the perfect straight controlled line any better than the Rotring Isograph. And as you can see, let me see, I don't think I need to zoom these in. These lines, I love the level of detail that I can get. This is just a collection of meanderings that I have. I love to mix this ink with watercolor as well, because it's so, the Rotring ink is just so black and also so water permanent, or excuse me, waterproof. And this was on watercolor paper, so I was just letting that nib kind of go in and around, and I have yet to discover a pen that feels as good to draw these kinds of lines as the Rotring. And then to focus on just crazy drawing, I love these Sailor Foodie Tip. I love, let me show, this would probably be an easier way to see this. I love, this is just, again, some noodling, and it was just with 1 pen. This is with the Nailed It ink. This is with the Noodler's Black. I was just drawing, and these lines were drawn with this pen. So this is the fat line, this is the thin line, this is the in-between line. I love that I could do all of this with one pen. And so for when I'm feeling like this, where I want to be able to do it all with one pen, I love having my Sailor Foodie tip. My next and last favorite, it's the Pentel brush pen, y'all. It is just so fun and magical to be able to get these thick, and then where's a note, really thin lines. And I didn't know it was gonna happen. I'm just playing with my pen. This is my favorite activities to do, is just to draw some lines, seal up some shapes, and then get some water soluble color and just play. This also was done with, this was done with the Pentel brush pen, both the one that had black in it and this one, the one that I put blue in it. I love the diversity of line. I love that when I'm setting it down, I don't have to think about how do I draw a bush. It draws a bush for me. I love that I can get these super fine lines as I'm creating the fence line. I love just the organic nature. It's just, you listen to the sound of my voice. Whenever I draw with these pens, I'm just really relaxed. You're probably wondering, or maybe you're not, maybe I'm just making that up, but like, I'm probably never gonna have to buy pens for the rest of my life. And yet, I brought home more pens. So this is by Odyssey. This is on sale, y'all, for Inktober. I think it even says it say Inktober in here somewhere. I don't know. It was on the advertisement. They have 5 pens in here for the price of 1. So this was like $18, and there was a 15% coupon. And I had been wanting, I just got this yesterday, I had been wanting to try this brush pen, which I'm not even, it's a number 22. It's a Odyssey, it's just called a brush pen, and I just have started to get it loaded up. I wanted to try this forever, and I got this pen, but then this was, I think, $14 usually. For another $4, I got these as well. I got a Bitmoji pen, I think is what they call it. I should probably look at the back of the packaging, huh? Yeah, I was right, Bitmoji. So what I wanted was the Bitmoji Foodie pen. I got the cartoonist, oh no, that's what it's named. So I got the cartoonist pen. This is a graphite, this is grayscale. This is another liner for me to try, because you know I love to try liners. Oh, and this is a water-based pigment pen that's white. So as soon as I get a chance to try these, I will let you know how I feel about them. And, you know, is this brush pen going to be another favorite? I don't know. Likelihood is high. Thank you for joining me on this inktacular, that doesn't really sound like a good word, spectacular ink odyssey. Oh, I like that. So thank you for joining me on this spectacular ink odyssey. And I should be back like in, I want to say a week, maybe 2 weeks, but stay tuned and I will let you know about this Zig Illustration Basic Set 2. I found this on Amazon, so if you're curious, go ahead and check it out. I'll have the link down below. But thank you for joining me on my ink odyssey. I hope you learned something. If you know somebody that's really looking to explore ink pens but hasn't been able to make any decisions because there's just so many options, please share this video with them. Let all of my investment help somebody make a good investment for themselves. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon for just a smidgen more ink play, since it is October, otherwise known as Inktober. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.